Well, hello and welcome back to All My Art and Soul. And I'm Michelle Holden, the artist behind this channel. And I've been exploring, playing, and discovering. Now, mind you, in the last couple of weeks, it's been sort of on and off. I've settling down from teaching and trying to get into a flow. So today I finally got to these new collage papers that I wanted to make for, I just stopped as to what they're for because I figured that would interfere with the play part. So I thought, you know what, I don't know. I just want to explore with marks, different layers, subtle value differences, and right here I'm showing you my collection. And what it is, it's just old papers that I made not too long ago that need another go through. And they might even need another layer. So that's why I'm saying adding more layers to collage papers. That's what I'm doing. That's what I need to do. And here we go. So I'll just name off some of the papers that you saw: newsprint, copy paper, tracing paper, rice paper, tissue paper, and stone paper, that last one. And I never really got to it on camera. I want to experiment more this week. So it really is a break for me, not having to record everything. So I have my stuff that's just for me, and of course the processes that I've been speaking about that I wanted to share with you, I'll share. But that exploring, I hope you're getting to do and carving out some time. So if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you are liking the content, and as you can see or have seen, if you're here for the first time, it's evolving, and I'm showing the journey to you, my journey, my art journey as I go. And I think I've mentioned many videos how much I like newsprint because it just fades. But it is definitely, not a high contrast because you have that neutral, but it's really good for if you're using neutrals. It fades, it gets that old kind of coffee or tea kind of look to it, and I'm really liking. So I'm still getting used to my jelly plate as to what I want it to do for me, for my collage. And right now, I'm just using it for creating solids, which aren't really solid, which I love, for background. And that's why I chose, well, I already have some papers made that are just one layer or two, and they need to go at least 3, 4, maybe even 5 layers, depending on what I'm looking for. After today's session, I did come to the conclusion that I really love the hand-drawn, the gestural marks way better than just using stencil. I think I was on the Fodder 2023, I forget the full title, really enjoying that. And one of the artists said, just having a mark that the artist has or you've made is, I just think, part of the reason why we're on this journey is we're trying to discover our own marks, and why not have them on our collage papers? So you be the judge. Now, this piece I love because it's just grungy, and if I could have more collage papers like this, and I know there's a way that other art that I've seen, I have to go back to where I found it, and of course, explore and experiment on my own. And that's what I'm trying to do. If I'm scrolling, no, I could be jelly plating. I could be making more dot collage paper or anything of that nature. So it's starting to kick in. This is just an 8 by 10 jelly plate, and I do keep it really nice and clean after each session. I don't use baby oil, which is like, whoa, really? I never knew that. Anyway, I guess it's a great substance to put back the moisture of a jelly plate that's sort of really gotten away. But right now I just clean up. I love my table clean in between what I'm doing, or it drives me crazy. So what do you do? Are you taking care of your jelly plate printer? Let me know in the comments below. No shame here. We're just being honest. And as I've said, please hit that subscribe button, hit share, check out the links in my comments section. I've got my Facebook group. I'm laying low though for the summer months. Otherwise, I'd be doing 2 videos a week, and I just, you know what? I can't do it. I just so needed a break to discover new stuff for myself, and then we will see where it takes me. So, experimenting with some white. I use the transparent white, very thin, but wow, what a great paint for putting, for going on top of, say, collage layers. Not a lot of substance to it. It depends. If I'm wanting my atmospheric layers, I think that would be a really good type of paint to use. And I am using the Liquitex Heavy Liquitex Basic, which is super for this kind of, and all you need. You can even use the craft paint, but I find it very, but I've used it before and not had a problem. It's very matte, no problem at all. And I'm just building up these tissue paper. That's a tracing paper, and I'm just not familiar enough, just seeing and asking that question. What if I do this? So please keep asking that yourself. And if I'm doing that, it just seems to, just put away all of these, preconceptions and results and all of that. And as you can see, I'm not caring which paper, like I didn't pre-choose an order at all for which paper gets the ghost print or the print. It's just sort of random. And that's interesting. This is sort of like a map of Portugal kind of stencil from Stencil Girl. So you can go on there, and there's maps. There's so many now. I find going to that website, you need a whole day. So as you can see, when you have stuff left on your jelly plate, I just like to keep adding onto it and try to get that grungy effect when I can. So in total time, even though I sped this up, it's about an hour. So the video of today is 32 minutes, and it's at twice the speed, just because it's just a good pace to watch. Some things I'll slow down. I haven't had to do that yet. And we just keep going, and you can see the high contrast. And right now I'm just learning and building up my repertoire of collage process. What works? What do I like? Oh, I like this, but what would it look like with another color? So that just didn't do anything, so it doesn't really matter. That paper will go through again and get more layers on it. It might not be a stencil layer. It might just be a brayer of thirds. And while I was doing this today, I thought, well, why don't I start using and like adding magenta and all of these colors that I've been wanting to use. I know I'm not using them in this series, but it would be great to pre-make, and I know I've got a bunch of reds and orange and yellow solids that really could use a few more layers. So as you read, now I'm moving on to gestural marks with my tools here. As you can see, a fan brush, a very pointy brush, a narrow bristle brush, and another, I forget the name. I used to know all the names of the styles of brushes, etc. But anyway, for line. And I'd like to use the squirter. These are eyeglass bottles that I use. There's a fine mist one and a more direct one, and I can really control the amount of water so I can get a nice consistency for my mark making. And right now I just thought, well, let's just use black, 2 different blues and a white or an off-white. So now I'm just going through and just picking any kind of paper that resonates with me and putting them on top of each other so I can just have a little system and a flow. Momentum. Oh, I love that one. I forget. Oh, yeah. That's what I do with it. Okay. So there's one more stencil that I'll be showing you that I was digging around and didn't find for the longest time. And that's coming up. So please stay to the end. And you'll see. It's like a great big... It has a... Oh, I don't even know what it's called. It's a big shape. Anyway, you'll see it. Now, this is the first thing that I did. I do dashes. So by default, I just started. So the thing is, easier said than done, these simple marks. I love my dots. I love my circles. I love my black and white. I don't know how I'm going to use these yet, or even if I'll use them together with this group of group of collage papers, not stencils. So I'm loving the white. To me, it's just like reflections. See those wavy marks? Those marks were made on the jelly plate printer with the wedge, but it's the tooth wedge, the big ones that you buy. I'll put the name of the wedge, and you know there's just tons. There's bowl scrapers, credit cards, color shapers. There's so many tools now. I don't really need to buy anything more. I just need to start learning what I want to do with them. So I'm liking this direction better. So now I have 2 different patterns on one piece, and I'll end up using just sections of those. Because I don't really want to use yet, no, I don't. I don't want to use big swaths of collage, even though here I am looking at it in my studio, on this next work, which is going to be abstract landscapes in a way, but very abstract. Maybe just nature influenced by color, say, and probably line and shape and all of that. These stencils are going to be for smaller ones that I do on a watercolor card, and I'm planning to do stitching, lots of layers, and adding some fabric to them. That's the plan. I don't know if it'll turn out that way. And you see, this is just a piece of foam, package foam. I like that little hole in the middle, and I just made the dots spread out a lot, different energy. This piece has blue, and this brush just felt so good to make these shapes, which are slightly on an angle, but it came so naturally to me, and this is what I started to discover. While I'm sitting here, these marks, even though I do have a plan of certain marks that I want to make, it doesn't really happen exactly as I planned. It just sort of, this is the intuitive process showing through. And wow, you see the difference? You can have jelly printed, stenciled backgrounds and then end up putting your own signature of mark making on the top, which is really cool. Now this piece, I just thought, okay, I wanted some blue in there. I just didn't know what. I just reacted. not doing a lot of thinking at all. And then I remembered, oh yeah, this fan brush made really nice black lines on my transparent papers, either it being deli, tissue, or tracing paper, or the parchment tracing paper, which is really cool, but it's very waxy. But I'm liking it because it's really transparent. And I love these partially done stencils on one piece. You just get, it's just more. Loving this brush, using it dry, and don't forget the paint I'm using is the fluid Liquitex here, which is great, and I've added some water. Not very much though. And of course, letter stencils mixed with hexagon, layered on top. Still needs more in my judgment. So I thought, okay, now I can do that. I'm just going to put it right on top, and I'm going to use my color shaper. And there comes the magenta. I thought, oh, I just need to see what happens. And of course, color shapers are amazing for spreading color. Now, I would have liked this in 2 slightly different blues, which would have been really great. My computer just said low battery. I realized I had it unplugged. I had so many things hooked up to it. But that was a smooth transition during editing or voiceovers. Okay. So, yes. So here on the jelly plate, there was leftover paint, and I used my clay tool, which has rubber ends on it, of course, which is not going to hurt your jelly plate. And I just did swirling marks to make some impression on that layer. It's okay. And what I'm doing now is okay, but it's too fast. I think my gesture marks really, I need to practice those. There's some really amazing artists. Well, there's so many. But once I started just not thinking and just slowing down, so we'll just put that to the side. That'll still turn out really well with another layer or two of who knows what. So then I thought, okay, let's leave some more space between these lines. And I know I've had this on rice paper. This is tracing, oh no, this is tissue paper. I can't tell what that is. One or the other. No, it is rice paper. And this is 1, 2, 3. This already has 3 layers of stencil. I thought, you know what? I need to make those shapes again. It's like writing. I remember, I don't know if any of you, I'm telling my age, when we used to learn cursive writing in school. And you used to, and of course in art school too, for graphic design, everything had to be done by hand. And you had to make your shapes exactly the same, consistently on, I don't know how many sheets of paper. That was really cool. That was Sheridan Art College in Oakville, if that rings a bell with anybody. Back in the day when it just opened. That's really telling my age. Well, that's okay. So I thought, yeah, what an interesting, it's more of a hue. It's definitely a lighter value. It didn't really do anything except add another layer, push back those lines. So, not all layers are successful, but it's the process of the experience. And you thought, well, but it doesn't mean it's a mistake. So we're not thinking mistakes here. We're thinking experiences and building up our repertoire of mark making while we're making collage papers. Wow, that's really good use of our time, don't you think? Okay, loving this. And as I was coming into really enjoying these neutral papers, I realized, okay, this next little series, I'm deciding if it's going to be a grid. I'm going to make a grid of 6 or 9 because I missed that. And that very popular video that I have on my channel, which is 3, those are about 8 by 8 inch on a very neutral paper. I don't even need to leave the card, but maybe I will in this video. And you'll see sometimes we miss and we need to go back to things that were working really well, but so early in my learning curve, I didn't realize what was well, what was good, what I want to keep as maybe a signature mark. And I know I love my dots and my dashes and my circles. I just love them. I love the energy that you can create with space and scale and value and contrast. So that's what we're exploring right now. And I think I'll do this all week. And if I discover some wonderful new collage papers, the layers really come together really well, definitely keep a sample in my larger journal. I'm going to be using, I decided, for my grids. And the little pieces are going to be, I think I'll do four on a page. 4 inches is a little small for me, but 4 6-inch ones. And then keep all the notes and samples on the side for a great resource library for future collage making. It's like, oh, I like that. How did I do that? And you just look it up. So similar. Oh, and here is this stencil. Now, this stencil reminds me of it has this very royal, I don't know what the right word is. Not the flower one, this one. I've used in different paintings. It looks good as an embellishment in gold, even it's just a section of it. And in the next few minutes, if you watch to the end, I do it with black, white, and neutral on different papers. So I'm just using the same thing, the same stencil, and trying to find out what it looks like with different backgrounds. So look at that neutral. Love that. Now I would use half of that, symmetrical or whatever. So here we go. There's another one. Yes, more black. I'm loving how I can just pour this paint right in there. No water, of course. And I like these makeup sponges because the end is larger than just a narrow triangle shape. The end comes out very large and just has better coverage. So nothing got really messy. The edges stayed nice and crisp, and that's what I was looking for. I was wondering if the fluid paint would be too fluid, but it wasn't. I'm sure you could get better, but I don't need to. I don't want to fuss around that much. Nice. So, oh, love this. See, these are the solids, which aren't solid, that you can create. Just if you want colors, rather than using pre-bought collage, like solid pieces of color, way better. You get all the different shadows. And so here we go. So what I knew would happen, because I didn't want to be bothered cleaning the stencil. I don't know if that's laziness or just not worrying about things. It would turn out like a subtle gray, and I love it, rather than it being a solid white. So interesting. Yeah, really loving that. I do not know yet. I know what papers feel good together. You probably do as well. And it's just working out the ratio of, no, not ratio, the scale of how much black do I want, more of a solid, and just using a small bit of pattern. So that's the fun part, when you get to tear things up. And so that's what will be in part 2. So this is part 1, and I'm calling it Creating Interesting Collage Papers, part 1. So part 2 next week. So please come on back. You'll get to see what I do with them. And this is going to be on a grid of 4 or 6 on one page. And we're going to just have fun and experiment. Now, of course, my other exploration thing that I've been working on a lot, and while I'm cleaning here, I'll just talk you through this, is transparency. I'm learning just how to get effective transparency, depending on the feeling of the piece, too. Some pieces might have a lot, but what I'm going for is if I have 4 or 5 layers on my substrate, either paper or most likely, if I'm going to make finished pieces, it's going to be on a wood panel of 8 by 8. I have some canvases too, which are I like how they can be more like objects rather than a painting. If they're very deep gallery one, I've been looking for those. And just experimenting with the images that I love to use, and mixed with another contrasting element with black, white, transparent layers, pattern, and line. So all of these things, I think, will start coming together soon. So I use these J cloths just from the dollar store, and that one I just threw it away because I needed a fresh one. Especially if you're going to lie down white tissue paper. I didn't really want it to get too dirty. Let's see what I'm doing next here. Yes. So I know the transparent paper, which I just used, was very thin, but I really think that'll be effective on a certain piece. And this is thicker. I know, and I go and show you, if you added the heavy gel gloss, you could really thicken this up. I don't think it would become more transparent or not. You could also use gesso. You could use other wall plaster through a stencil, and I forget what that's called. But I'm wondering if that will fall off of the art piece or not. So I'm going to stick to something that stays flexible, which is acrylic paint. And I think that'll dry really nicely. And so now I'm on a roll with the tissue. These are tissue paper. This is just ordinary tissue paper. I just grabbed it at my Michael's art store. They did not have artist tissue paper, but I have an order going in on Amazon. They have the artist tissue. Now, it's not Spectra, which in Great Britain, you guys have, I think your tissue paper selection is much better. It's extra strength, I believe, and can stand up more. Is it more transparent? Please let me know in the comments below. I love when everybody shares their resources and materials. So we're coming near the end. Oh, I love that. Now, more of a neutral would also look really good, but it has a deep feel warmth to it. And that is Naples yellow, by the way. I was going to use the yellow oxide, but I thought, whoa, that's too strong. So yeah, so here I am mixing in a little bit of the neutral, which is probably parchment. And let's see. Oh yeah, the whole different feel, but I like how they're slightly different. Yeah, love it, love it. And I'm really excited to be going in a whole different direction. That's really what I wanted this summer, to just explore and take the time to play. Oh, here we go. Oh, I needed black. We needed a black one. Okay, so we're coming into the last piece, and as I see my little video at the bottom of my screen here while I'm doing my voiceover, I do use that stone paper, and I just don't know how to use it yet, so I'm going to explore some of that. It's a very different feeling paper. It doesn't have fiber because it's stone. I don't know what the binder is, but it's pretty cool. So that's just way too much going on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this week's Making Interesting Collage Papers. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out the Facebook group, my shop, all sorts of things, and come back for part 2, where I show you how I use these fabulous collage papers. So, see you next week.